And hello everyone, I'm Dan Lutz, and I'm here with my co-host
Tank.
And we're here on the front lines in the battle against the deep state, the cabal, the Illuminadonkeys, and all those that wish to enslave all of humanity for their own selfish reasons. How is it going today, Tank?
Everything is wonderful. Other than relatively useless and not forces working in the banks. Other than that, I can't complain. We just had the first California assembly meeting. It was really, really great. Huge, and a whole bunch of people. There's already a national assembly group working there, and they've been meeting for 2 years. 2 years, and they haven't done any of the paperwork yet for some reason. And but it's kind of she's a big contributor to our office.
You're fading in and out.
Humble and
Tank.
effective all at the same time.
Tank. You're fading in and out.
Yeah, I'm not here. Okay, I'm sure. Just my opinion.
You know.
Hear me?
Yes, yeah, you're
I'll
still.
leave.
Yeah, leave and come back. Yeah.
Carry on.
All right. So the California Assembly meeting happened, and I wish that I was there. Another time for me to oversleep, I would say, it's quite the wrong time. I'd like to have been to that one. My children are in California, and I do know people that had in the past went ahead and resat the government of California, and even put in a new governor and everything, and they did all of this stuff. So, it would have. It's good to see if there's more people to bring to the table for it. But apparently, the meeting went really well. A little bit of chaos in the beginning of it, but things are moving. No time for petty bickering about where things have been and what stage things are in and what all the work that people have already been putting in to try and move in this direction. Great. Now you know exactly what to do. Let's get rolling. All right. So this is the time to assemble. There is no other time. This is the time, especially in these key battleground states, the front lines of California and New York. So so I see Tank has made it back on.
Hola.
Hola. I was just saying that the great place to start organizing these places for the assemblies, for the state assemblies, is in the battleground states of New York and California.
Boy, I'll tell you, we're about to take down some dominoes right now. California was feisty. It was good. We had some trolls as soon as the call started, right? There's a famous old Ice Cube album, from Ice Cube's a rapper from NWA, straight out of Compton, old school California gangster rap group.
Yeah.
And he comes on, and his name was D-E-E, Snuts, S-N-U-T-S, D's Nuts.
Yeah.
So I called him out right away. I'm like, I said, excuse me, Mr. D's Nuts. I had to laugh. But then that like opened up the door, right? And he was like, I don't appreciate you calling me out for that. He goes, that's what I was named. I was like, no, you weren't. And then all these other guys came on, like when Kim was sitting in the toilet. I mean, it was just ridiculous. They were just being jerks, But the kids just crashed it to the mess aside, I guess. So,
anything to throw the trolls in, you start building bridges and the trolls come out.
That's a good point. Yeah, always got trolls under the bridge.
Yeah. Well, then
okay.
They need to stay there.
Yeah, just stay under the bridge, way under the bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be sure to build a door and lock it from the inside.
Yeah, but so it's funny because Lawful America, everybody is like, do now, let's go, right? Like our whole team, everybody who's associated with Lawful America is like, we are here to get things done. And to be honest, it's because these other groups didn't, right? And not to say they didn't do the right thing somewhere, but they didn't get the job done. So we're trying to bring them together without insulting anybody, right? But at the end of the day, what it comes down to is like, well, we're here to work with you, but we're not here to, carry your lunch, right? Like, we're here because you didn't get it done. So they've got big numbers already, so far. They had a meeting last night in Ohio, bring the Ohio State Assembly together. New York's meeting again tomorrow night for a third meeting, and they're starting to click, and paperwork's coming together. And there's like 8 sections of paperwork, right, that has to be filled out. Then California, so coming together.
Yeah.
There's a lot of filing process of paperwork and stuff, right? And what's awesome is that there's people who've been there, and all they've been doing is assembling and meeting, right? They don't file anything, they don't post anything, they don't do anything, they just talk. So, but they know how to fill out the paperwork. So it's great if we can get them to activate and just do the paperwork, and they can contribute that way, and they can continue to come out and talk. In the meantime, we're going to call grand juries and start, kicking ass and taking names and holding these people responsible for trying to, turn, America into a communist country. Well, a communist country filled with genocide.
Yeah. So. Well, they want to get rid of the people and keep the resources. China has no need for the people. After all,
right.
After all, the Americans, they don't speak Chinese.
That's right. Very true. Yeah.
So how can they give them orders?
Right. What good is that?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So very exciting stuff though. I'm very, I'll take all the ugliness, the bumps and bruises of personalities clashing all day, any day of the week. I'll take people that are inspired and politically incorrect, fired up, and willing to put the time in, and willing to learn, and willing to speak their mind when they think they know something or when they do. I'll take that all day over people who know everything and do nothing.
Yep. Yep. Well, see, a lot of the people that know everything, it took them a long time to know everything. And part of that process is always there's always another hurdle to overcome, right? And it becomes a habit to overcome that next hurdle to get to the point where you actually then can take action. So they end up delaying and delaying and delaying doing things because that next step is also a very scary step, right? For a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
You're now okay. Now we're ready. We're replacing the existing people sitting in a corporate a government pretending to be the people's government, and we're
Right.
replacing you now. And by the way, you gotta like vacate the buildings you're in.
Right.
What is the next step do you do, right? When you've taken these steps, as I mentioned, I know that there's people in California that assembled Ken Cousins of Pantera de Oro that he said private societies outside of this corporate governance, and including the Kringle Society. But I know that he also took the seat of governor, of California. So,
Sure.
but at what stage, where does that go, right? Once you get to that stage and you've now made that step, and I know this happened in many states. I was following along with a group that was doing this, and I think they started in the original colonies and sat the people there, and then they were using anyway. Their theories behind it and why they were able to do the things they were doing. It's a lot of data, right? And I'm not the one to really be the authority on how they went about it, but I do know that there's people in California that have already taken these steps. There's a lot of patriots, a lot of people that are out there looking to, be there for the people. So everyone needs to be activated at this point. There is no other time than now. This is the culmination point of everything that everyone has already done, getting prepared. This is the time to take action.
Well, what's so interesting, right, is that everybody has had the same. Everyone has these ideas that don't work. It's great stuff. It's great stuff, right? What are they waiting for? I mean, and I'll tell you what. What they're waiting for, right? It's things like, when the white hats, in the military, when they come together, right? Now here's what they're waiting on. Here's a couple things. One, let's see, the Republic group, right? The Republic spelled with a CK again, which I'm sure good folks, right? I'm sure they've got great organization. They have regular meetings. They're doing stuff, right? They're doing stuff, okay? But what are they waiting for? They're waiting for the establishment of like the Republic Bank, right? Which is going to come from, is going to be funded by the military payouts from the Treaty of Versailles. So guess what? That's not happening. You've got another, a whole other group in the military, right? And what are they waiting on? Big payouts on what? The RV. Right? So here's the military. Here's our source. Everybody's waiting on them, right? So you got these groups, and in general, they're waiting on somebody, right? But I like National Assembly, right? The head guys there, one, they acknowledge every state is a little bit different, right? So there's a lot of things I don't know, and I acknowledge that, right? But there's certain things that I get, and once I get them, it's really hard to argue about it, because once I really understand it, I'm going to repeat it 1,000 times until I know it so well. It could be hard arguing about it, right? So we keep talking, keep going back to these core principles, right? Of what is the core foundation of the government, right? And the assembly is the core foundation. It's the First Amendment, right? It's the core of everything that we are. It's about the people. It's we the people. It's the first thing stated. What is the Declaration of Independence? It was a group of we the people that assembled, right? That's how this country was established. And all that's been lost because we think, well, we have Congress now, we have the Senate, we have all this hierarchy of nobility that lives in political offices, right?
Yeah.
And there's so much deception. But at the end of the day, what have you done? Right? That's what it comes down to. What have you accomplished? What have you accomplished? And if you've accomplished nothing, right? You've never filed anything. You've never stood, in that space and said, "This is my land. This is my country. These are my people. These laws that you are trying to implement are unconstitutional." Then you've done nothing. And if you've just done it for yourself, right? You declared yourself something and you got away with something. How did you help? Because you declared yourself a sovereign national, right? Or a U.S. national, American national, whatever. And then what did you do from there, right? Then you,
Right.
you use their system while everybody else is dealing with other stuff. So I don't see how I can be free or any of us can be free if we're not all free.
Right. Everyone has to move forward at this point, right? And come together. Don't forget about the name of your organization and what you've done in the past. If whatever is moving, get involved. Jump on.
Yeah.
It's not going to be about any one, right, individual. It takes the individuals to make movement, right? But this is the time to make that movement, right? When else has this happened? You've got people at home, right? Nothing better to do than to study. I had a 2 weeks vacation. I'm done with the 2 weeks vacations. What? I got into another 2 weeks of vacation. Well, no. I want to get involved. I want to do something. So now, what is it, right? So that I know about this. So now you can engage people. Now they're able to research. That's why we're having these protests that are popping up. Oh, and I heard also that Facebook is removing anything to do with any kind of like scheduling and one of these events, right? Just why would they be involved in such a blatant attack against the people's right to assemble, as they even programmed it into people, right? For protesting.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. They had the plan from like the master planners, like Marduk and whatever. It's really genius. A lot of it, a lot of the mind control, and But then again, it's very small, right? It's very easy to control people when you control their livelihood. You control the frequency that they can, really connect at.
Right.
You destroy everything about their history, so they don't know who they are, right? No one even realizes the potential of the human experience, right? You don't even realize. You don't realize you don't need phones, probably. The two of you used to talk about this, right? About you don't need the phone. You can communicate through time and space. So I'm like, I need to hone that skill, but still, we can do it.
Yeah.
Right. If you were learning that from birth, I'm sure like you and I would just tap into the same frequency. Like, hey, we'd be broadcasting on the intranet within ourselves.
Yeah.
We'd all be intranauts. So.
Yeah. Hopefully, you don't have the WhatsApp, breaking the link, because someone's calling you on WhatsApp too.
Yeah. Jeez. Right. Exactly. So annoying. So. But anyways, so.
So so what is the next steps? You have people came out of this group meeting. So you had different groups. Everyone came together. Are they ready to form an assembly? Did they form an assembly?
Yes, no, they're ready to go. The stall crew there. They, Sandra, she was in the meeting. She was like, okay, we're gonna elect officers. And they were like, wait a minute. And they jumped out. They're like, wait a minute. It's like, we already have officers. Like, well, no, not here. You don't, because you guys should have assembled sooner, I guess. But so they are going to put out some information, let people volunteer. The officers have like formal elections, and they'll probably do that next week. They'll establish the actual officers, right?
Okay.
And they'll send that stuff out. And then what has to happen, and this is a little challenging right now because you got to have wet signatures, right? Like, so you got to get like 2 witnesses on these documents, right, to officially settle the state, right? And that's a little challenging at the moment, right? Because everyone's like at home with their spouse and their kids, right?
Yeah.
Or something like that. And so that's a little challenging. But, like, they're getting it done here in New York, and we'll get it done there too. and but then you got to run public notice, and it's a process. It is a process, but when the process is done, and the people have a voice. My God, can you imagine? You can just show up to the assembly, right? You're not talking about a blind voting process, right? Where you put your name in a ballot or a computer and you have no idea if you're one of a billion votes or if it even matters. Oh man, there's gonna be maybe your assembly gets up to 200 people. Well, still you're one vote of 200 people.
Yeah.
And you get to decide what the matters are in your community, in your area. It's old school town hall meetings type of thing.
Yeah. It's a system the system the way it was
really
designed.
Right? What the potential is there.
Yeah, it's designed that way, but people have been lulled away from it, right? Where do people assemble in their town halls? No, they have a city council, right? They have elected their mayor and their city council, and then when you go there, I mean, you can't even speak, or they give you a minute to say what you have to say, or 2 minutes, right? And they'll just roll over you if they don't like what you have to say, right? They may not even be listening. I've heard many times in front of LA City Council, right? it's a tragedy, right? Because even one of the I was there for medical marijuana, and there was one of the councilmen that burst into the chambers, right? I guess they can only have half of them seated at one time or something. He had to ask one of them to leave because he was so upset. Because he found out that the alcohol industry, and as his words were, and to some extent the pharmaceutical industry, is trying to shut down the medical marijuana in the state. So, we've heard about all the bribes and all the other things that were going on from the people with big bank accounts, and so didn't care. So there was a battle to keep the dispensaries open after they licensed everybody, right? So, but it didn't matter how many times you went there, how many times actually that was the last time I went. after he said his piece, I said I'm not going back. It makes no difference for me to go there, right? I took another tactic. Right? I said, okay, this is not a legitimate path, right? It's there, it pretends to be the legitimate path, but you can't actually get your message through. I mean, you can, if anything, just maybe slow down things, right? You get enough people upset, right? Then they'll back off. But for the most part, you can't really, just trust that your words will mean anything when you're speaking in front of these city councils. So yeah, how do you assemble? How do you basically, do it on your block, right? Your neighbors, block parties, or how do you get together and decide what is necessary for this all to, make so for you to have your words take precedent. And I think all these towns that were affected by, let's say, industrial pollution, right? And the people in the towns would try to stand up against, what was going down. But other people would basically just come in and, bribe the politicians and get it. So how? But the system itself is corrupted, right? By this business of businesses, or incorporated entity owned by another incorporated entity owned by another incorporated entity. So they're always beholden to who's above them. The only difference is now that Trump is the head of the whole thing, up to the where that level is. I have to say that there's other levels, right? Even the United Nations is another level. So which who has the say in everything? It's always within this structure, and they own all the main positions within these structures. So looks like we did lose Tank. We could probably be jumping back on. But a lot of issues with trying to keep things rolling on this front. But this is the time to make your your position known. Even if you've never gotten involved before because you don't know what to do, fine. This is the best time for you to get involved, because we're already setting the stage for people to come. It's like, come to the meeting. Take the first step. We'll figure it out. It's the people just having their voice is the only step that we need to take right now. Take that step. Come to the meetings. They're on Zoom. You don't have to leave your home. You can still be, quarantined into your home, and then meet on Zoom. A little side note here is Zoom has also beefed up their security, and I believe they're no longer going to go through China for their data, to be going through there, which is good news. But there's a lot of other things that we could be doing, when we start making these steps, because realizing, that all of these corporate governments are just like fast food franchises, right? It's like going into any fast food restaurant, and you walk up to the guy at the counter, and he's going to take your order, and he's going to give you a bill, and you're going to give him back another bill, another IOU, and so this system that's there is nothing more than that. Even the people in Congress, they're just the managers of the corporation. Different franchises. The states are franchises. That's how it's set up. It is the legal formation of it. It's not the original Constitution. There's two constitutions, the original one and the one they slipped in. So we have to realize that these things have been placed there, and understand from our standpoint where the power lies is in the people. So when we assemble, when we get together and make rules, make law, that this is the law. It's not what has been presented out there as you could have your right to assemble, which means protest outside the building with your sign. No, that's helpful, right, to get people awake, right? But that's not what it's there for. We have to realize we have to assemble and make law and change things, and that's what we have to do. All right. Well, I do know that next Wednesday that there's going to be another California Assembly meeting. I'd like to be there and see how that's going. And then there's other states forming. I wanted to ask how Ohio was coming together, or any of the other states. But everyone needs to take a stand. Go to lawfulamerica.com, right? And it'll tell you the steps to get involved and who to email. Michelle Walker is the president and the one to contact. So even you don't have to be the leader. You just have to say you want to be involved. You want to have your voice heard. Contact Lawful America. Okay, while we're waiting for Tank, see if he's going to make it back on. Let's look at something that I found was pretty interesting. It's a little clip called "Say What? Say What?" So this was from there's a Golden State Times. It's a YouTube channel that is always showing what's happening in the government. Let's see. I can't find my. Oh, let me just use this one. This is the whole screen. So it starts here. This is, of course, the White House press briefing, and we have the Fox reporter coming into the room, and he is starting to say, "Hey, Johnny." The guy that's here in the foreground on the left side, with a sweater on, sleeveless sweater, or his shirt has sleeves, obviously, and he's talking to the other guy. He said, and of course the reporter coming in from Fox. So let's listen.
What's up, Johnny? All right, man. What do you got, baby? You can take out the mask. The case fatality rate's at 0.1 to 0.3. That's reassuring.
USC.
Everybody here's been vaccinated anyway.
USC and LA County Public Health came out with a study. They found that there were 7,000 cases in California, but they really believe that there are anywhere from 221,000 to 442,000 people who are infected.
Really?
So that makes it 0.1. Study you come up there? Yeah, just deal with it. So it's a cases out of
Wow.
put your right one.
So the hoax.
It was a hoax. And I chuckled. There we go.
All right, folks.
So
What's up, Barry?
All right, man.
just to, so basically there was a study in California. They basically had 7,000 cases and look at the mortality rate. And then it's at 0.1 to 0.3%. Of course, I said it would be 0.2 and then it'll go to 0.02 because of all the inflated numbers, right? This is just taking into account that the people who are infected is much higher, right? So if you have much more people that are actually infected, right, but not dying, that means mortality is much, much smaller. So this is why they're saying, he said, oh, it's a hoax. I said, well, not really. Well, there is part of this that is definitely a hoax. There's definitely something that's not quite right with what is coming down from what was being represented as coming out of China, where they had to weld people's doors shut in their buildings to keep people in who were infected. Even people in China, there was videos that got smuggled out of China, right, where people took, and they said it's all a hoax. People are not dying. So this whole thing is a hoax. Not that there's not a virus, or a COVID-19, or a China virus, Wuhan virus. There is something. It's fine. It exists, just like other viruses that we're swimming in. Trillions of viruses. We swim through a sea of viruses. It's just part of the environment. Just sometimes they have a negative reaction, right? And of course, our aspect of understanding what an actual virus is, that's also come into question as to what it actually is. So, like Dr. Shiva is pointing out a lot of things, and there's a lot of people talking about how they're taking pieces of genetic code and and that's all a virus is a piece of genetic code. Let's say it's this long as part of a DNA strand that's super sized, but it's just a chunk, right? It's genetic dust. It's all it is. It's genetic garbage. And in fact, what is probably what we're looking at as viruses are actually just what's excreted, the waste from a cell, and that's what they're identifying. So just like when you give a stool sample, to see what kind of infections you may have, right? It's taken out of your waste. So the virus is just waste product. So what's causing the problem? Why is it causing the cell to excrete this stuff, right? It's because it has it in it somehow, or it's created in it. So the mechanisms of how this is happening aside, what we do know is that this infection rate is very, very small. I'm sorry, this death rate, the mortality rate, is not what they were saying in the World Health Organization. The WHO came out and said 3.4%. Devastating number. In comparison of, like, say, Ebola, I think it's up in the 20% mortality rate. So this is like 3.4%, and it spreads so quickly, right? Gets everywhere. It's kind of like we're looking at this as this worldwide pandemic of something that's not killing people. So what? That is the hoax. The fear is the virus that they're trying to push out there. What they keep beating the drums of fear, and now it's all going to be about testing. And why? Why is Cuomo going to go and meet, with Trump? Why is he going to do a person-to-person meeting, man-to-man meeting, right? It's because he wants to lobby for more money based on the population, right? But if the people are not actually being effective, in which it's actually killing people, and it's just a hoax, why should all this money be going out? Other than to the people that need to restart their businesses, that's real. So we see now that it's come out in a White House briefing. Of course, it's prior. We have the reporters there that know. They said they just heard. Oh, I actually didn't hear today's briefing. I normally see it before coming on. Overslept. Sorry about that. And I think that there's something along the lines that maybe they covered some of this, and they're going to talk about this, and so that will, really affect how payments are going to go out to states. I mean, say state, per capita, you're talking about a death toll, right? And this is why you need more money, is because you've had this impact. They want to basically measure heads and put a value to them and say, okay, give us more money. So which states are going to be out there fighting to reopen, right? They're not going to reopen because, they're being precautious of a hoax, of something that's not killing people. There's definitely something to be said, for this at this point. So I want to, encourage us all to start taking a stand. Let's move forward in these assemblies. Everyone, get involved. Just contact Lawful America. Get on a conference call. You'll know what to do the next step. It's going to be laid out there, and it'll be it's just about assembling and talking, just like we're doing right here, but with paperwork. That's all. Filing some papers. And once that's done, and there's recognition that the corporate governance of every state has a severe problem, right? It's not there for the people, it's for the shareholders. Who's the shareholders? Not the people. It's a corporation of a corporation. That's why you incorporate. Incorporate inside a corporation. Incorporate. Corporations. When I was young, I always used to wonder, what's the difference between a corporation and an incorporation? I know I'm weird that way, but those things strike me. It's like, what's the difference? For a while, I thought it was because you do it in a state. I was not quite right. Sort of right. That's what I mean. You get a piece of information. You don't see the whole picture. It takes, more perspective, more of a broad view to get a complete understanding. So, it looks like Tank is not going to be coming back on. You know what? I think one thing we can do is make this a short one today. Literally, I have some other things that I was supposed to have done early morning that I'm way late in getting done. People are expecting some conversation from me before they move forward, and I missed a meeting. My sleep pattern is way distorted, very strange. Things going on, I guess. But okay, why don't we go ahead and we'll shut this down. We'll come back tomorrow. Be sure to subscribe. All right, this helps a lot. give a thumbs up, make some positive comments. All of these things are appreciated because it does help. It does help move the things forward. And until tomorrow, you can also come to wwg1wga.love and add yourself there. Hopefully we can get using this resource to help organize more. We're getting more organized on the Telegram group. Lots. I encourage you to all join there. The information's down below in the description. You can join Telegram. It's an instant messaging platform. It's much better than all the other messaging systems out there by far, and it's private. Unlike, say, WhatsApp, or Skype. I know those are the old standards that everyone is on them, but don't use them. Don't use them, especially if it's important. All right. Until then, until tomorrow, we'll see you.